Hello. Today I will be once more featuring the Tier 10 US cruiser, the Des Moines. Now I did feature it a couple weeks ago, but since I just recently featured the New Orleans and the Baltimore, I figured might as well feature a Des Moines game in between, since it's pretty much the natural progression of pretty much everything you learn and experience on the Tier 8 and Tier 9. Now the matchmaking is mostly tier 10s, not surprising since you're tier 10 yourself. They have Des Moines, Minotaur, Moskva, Shima, Kaba, Benson. The big deal here is of course that we only have one capping DD, which is the Shima, whereas they have two capping, or was it even, yeah, two capping DDs and a Kaba. That's of course always a disadvantage, but with the help of Des Moines radar, maybe we can even the odds somewhat. Now, the first thing you usually want to do with the Des Moines is find some sort of cover, some sort of island, some sort of place where you can lob shells at the enemy without them being able to return the favor. That's of course one of the strengths of the very weak arcs that Des Moines has. This is something you kind of learn with the Baltimore, but it becomes even more obvious on the Des Moines. Now on the Baltimore I run the reload mod because it has such good concealment at 9.7 km concealment. On the Des Moines, however, I prefer the range mod because it gives you more versatility and you don't really need the reload because your DPM is already so nutty, and range helps you a lot more since you got 10.6 km concealment, which is quite a downgrade from the Baltimore. First target, Izumo. Not afraid to open up instantly because I am gliding behind these islands in front of me, and as you can see I'm already unspotted, and the DPM on the ship is actually very impressive, as is the fire chance. In fact, you have the best fire chance of all tier 10s. Now I don't mean fire chance per shell, I mean you start the most fires per minute in the Des Moines, which is very impressive. Now I am spotted for some reason, which is strange. And it seems like, yeah, it's C. C is actually being capped, so I try to accelerate as soon as possible, but I might get punished for this because it takes some time to get your speed up and it takes some time to get moving. I do eat some shells. It's very strange though that someone is actually contesting C because the entire team seems to be sailing the other way. And the Des Moines from 17 kilometers away actually lands a triple citadel on me, which is pretty annoying. But the Benson that is in C is spotted, and honestly I did not expect him to stay around in C. I did not expect him to stick around because, well, first of all, he knows I'm here, he knows the Des Moines is close. Second of all, if you look at the minimap, his teammates are all running away, so he's alone here without any sort of backup. So even though I ate some damage here, this Benson pretty much sacrificed his life for this damage because I am now within radar range, and Des Moines DPM on a radar DD is just horrid for the DD to deal with. Especially with my entire team opening up on him, of course. I mean, why wouldn't they? Getting rid of a DD this early is a great advantage, and there's really no one around who can help him because, well, as I said, I saw the entire enemy team moving towards A or B, but no one was around C, so this DD made a pretty big positional error, and it did catch me off guard because I did get spotted in a position I did not expect to be spotted, and I did lose some HP to citadels because of that, but ultimately he traded his life for it, so a disadvantage for me, but overall for our team that was a pretty damn good trade. Trying to see if I could get back into my earlier position and harass these players, because now that the Benson is gone, there really shouldn't be anyone who can actually spot me. There is, however, a bit of a risk actually that one of these planes are flying a spotter plane, and that's exactly what's going on. I shoot and I instantly get plane spotted, and thanks to priority target I find out that there are already multiple people targeting me. They recognized me on the enemy team, they said hello and all the usual stuff, so I gotta accelerate away. And now I'm even being radared, I think by the Moskva actually. I am undetected again, I keep harassing the Montana. I switched to AP for the Moskva to see if I could land some citadels on him. I find it unlikely that anyone would be able to shoot me here because I'm pretty well in cover. I do citadel the Moskva, the super heavy AP is of course very strong on the ship. And I become undetected, so I start reversing. And of course the Montana, after I've gotten undetected, manages to get, I think, his back turret shells over the island, and I hit another Citadel. So this usually quite strong position right now has really backfired on me pretty heavily. I've lost half my HP, and the important thing is here that I've lost it through Citadels. Now, why is getting Citadels an especially bad thing? That's because you can't heal as much of the Citadel damage you receive. Battleships can only heal 10% of the Citadel damage you receive. Cruisers can only heal 30% of the Citadel damage you receive. So even though I've taken so much damage, you can see how small the gray sliver on my lower left health bar is. That's how much I can heal. It's very minimal, barely there, and that's of course because, well, it's Citadel damage. I can't heal it. Whereas fire damage can be healed fully, normal penetrations can be healed 50%, Citadel is only 30% for a cruiser. So it's the absolute worst thing for you. I do spot a Minotaur in the open, so he's my priority target naturally, and he eats 4 Citadels, which is a big chunk of damage. Now you might notice how quickly I'm able to switch ammunition type here. Let's see if we can show it if this Minotaur pops up. I'm waiting for my guns to reload. You saw that I switched from HE to AP in a second. That was 1 second ammo switch. And the reason I can do that type of instant ammo switch is of course because I'm running Steven Seagal, the reward captain that was given a while back. And he has the special perk that his expert loader actually reduces your reload time by 75% instead of by 50%. So on a Des Moines, that means when you already have 5.5 second reload and you got the AR, Adrenaline Rush, kicking in, that means that you are able to switch ammo when your guns are fully reloaded in less than a second. That's of course why I use it on this captain, because it allows you to always have the right ammunition type for the right situation, and I consider it extremely useful. Tirpitz is pushing in a bit too deeply, and he looks like he's grounded. He's trying to get some shots in, but once again, of course, the Des Moines downside of having slow shells can be used to an advantage here in the form of lobbing the shells over this island. For example, Zhao would probably never be able to hit this guy because his shells would just hit the island, but Des Moines can quite easily lob these shells right over. Now, there is of course one of the risks when you have plenty of targets to shoot like this and plenty of targets to focus on, and that's tunnel vision. In fact, if you had paid attention to the minimap here, there's actually a Kaba that has been pushing up. I've been undetected, so he doesn't know I'm here, but the Kaba has actually been pushing up through A. And if I hadn't been as tunnel visioned as earlier, I would have detected this significantly sooner. But because when you have plenty of targets to shoot like this, it's very easy to become too focused on what you're firing at and not enough focused on the minimap. Not to mention, of course, pushing up like he is something I consider quite stupid, but I notice him now, and well, the situation isn't really that bad for me, it's bad for him mostly, but I could have had my guns already turned his way preemptively. So he gets away with sailing a bit too freely here, and something I could have punished. But this is a pretty good example of even experienced Des Moines captains can easily become tunnel vision in the ship. And that's of course because of the extremely quick reload. You're constantly aiming your guns, you're constantly firing. There's the lower HP you are, the faster your reload is. At this point my reload is 4.7 seconds. There's very little time to actually pay attention to your surroundings. And that is a easy mistake to make in this ship. You can very easily find yourself staring down the sides far too long. Even I do it, and I've seen many other people do it as well. So that's the downside, of course, of the incredibly fast reload. The Cyclone has hit, and this appears to be one of those Kaba captains who think that they can get away without running Last Stand. There are still some people who think that Last Stand is optional on DDs. I, of course, completely disagree, because all it takes is getting your engine broken twice in a row. Like this guy, he just repaired his engine, and I already broke it again with the next shell. DDs lose engines so very often that, I mean, he could have probably lived if he had Last Stand, but because he doesn't have Last Stand, well, he's stranded there, and he's quite an easy kill. I still see a lot of DDs not running Last Stand. I mean, I love it when they're on the enemy team, because they are pretty much free kills. But Really, don't do it. Just I highly recommend against running that kind of thing. Now the interesting thing here is of course that it's what 10 minutes into the game and I have well over 200,000 damage. So the deep, even though I ate some unlucky slash stupid citadels, I mean they were unlucky in the sense that I did not expect the Benson to push C and spot me, because that's pretty much suicidal. But they were also sloppy in the sense that as soon as I was spotted, I should have repositioned myself instead of taking the risk. And you kind of, in cruisers, you really don't want to take that big of a risk, especially in the early game. You want to play cruisers fairly safe in the early game. And when you take risks like I do, you tend to get punished, just like I did. So a safer play in the early game is highly recommended, because cruisers exponentially grow in strength the longer they survive. The less ships are around, the stronger they grow. I'm trying to decide if I want to go for the Des Moines or the Shima here, and I ultimately decide that it's probably better to deal with the Shimakaze, since you can flank and cap and delay this game massively. I am, however, going to get into cover, since if I was the Shima I would be coming down from the north right now, so I'm trying to get behind this island here in front of me, because there's 40 seconds until my radar reloads and I don't really have that much HP. So eating a torp, for example, on the nose from the Shima, where there's no torpedo protection, could potentially actually kill me. So I'm making certain, well, I think with the innate reduction it probably wouldn't kill me, but 2 torps will absolutely guaranteed kill me. So I need to make sure I don't eat any of them. So I hug this island here, use it as line of sight cover, and I am detected, and this tells me of course exactly where the Shima is. He's right in front of me, he just popped up from behind this island, and I instantly turn that way. I'm making a wide sweep to the right, because I am expecting him to torpedo me, and my radar comes up, and I spot the Shimakaze. I turned wide right to throw off his aim with his torps, and at this point I'm turning hard into him to present a small target, because I am almost certain there are torps coming, and here they come. I slow down and turn to the left and just barely managed to dodge the torpedo while finishing off the Shimakaze. Now it's important here to always pay attention to how many volleys a ship has and how many they have fired. In this case we saw 2 volleys, only 2, and we know Shimakaze has 3 torpedo volleys, so I'm staying angled just in case he launched a 3rd volley at some point, because I don't want to be turning hard left right after I killed him and then be caught off guard by the 3rd volley who catches me in the side. So I'm playing it safe and just sailing exactly towards where he was. Now that I'm certain that there's no additional volley coming my way, only now do I turn away. And this is something you see quite often, not just cruisers but even battleships make this kind of mistake, where they think because they've killed the DD he's no longer a threat, and then they get killed by torpedoes in the side. Anyway, the game does end. 208k damage, which considering how short the game was, is pretty satisfying. 10 citadels, I'm pretty sure all of them were on the Minotaur, who was giving me far too much broadside, which you obviously shouldn't be doing in a Minotaur. XP wise, almost 3k. I mean, could have broken 3k if some certain kill securing hadn't been happening, but such things do happen. Considering how short the game was, I'm still pretty satisfied with it, especially since I do consider I misplayed early on, being too cocky in my positioning, being too confident that the islands would protect me, and then being punished by the enemy Des Moines and Montana in return. So I was down to half HP, but still managed to recover from it. Damage wise, well, potential damage 1.7 million. Not surprising, you tend to rack it up quite easily, especially in a squishy cruiser like this. No Witherer, but as usual, even though I shot far more HE than I did shoot AP, the AP ended up actually dealing more raw damage. I did deal almost a Witherer worth of damage from the fires alone though, which of course is why you use HE quite a lot. Now I won't bother going over my build on this. I can link it in the comments below, and you can see my recommended build as well as how I use Steven Seagal to the utmost effect. But that was my Des Moines commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.